Welcome back to What's Up Oxford. I'm joined with three lovely ladies from VON, Janet, Brittany, and Colleen. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
All right. So VON, start off with that. For those of our viewers that don't know, what is VON?
Oh, what is VON? Well, VON stands for Victoria Order of Nurses, and it's an organization that's been around for over 120 years, probably the first organization that actually went out to help folks who needed help. So we support seniors, and we have all the programs in Woodstock and Oxford County to help support seniors, like Meals on Wheels. We have free exercise classes across the county. We have blood pressure clinics and volunteer visiting, hospice and palliative, grief counseling. We're everywhere.
We have it all.
We've got it all.
And VON Secura House as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did say a key word in there, volunteer.
Yeah, that's right.
So I understand it's National Volunteer Week.
That's right. And the tagline this year is Every Moment Matters. So it gives us an opportunity to thank and appreciate all our volunteers from VON Oxford, VON Secura, and just all volunteers across Canada, really, just to give them the recognition of the impact that they make. And every moment matters. People don't realize that you don't have to volunteer for hours and hours. Just a smile or a phone call or, just doing something like that makes a difference.
Just an hour out of your week or a few hours of your week can really make a huge difference in someone else's life.
Definitely.
Okay, so the importance of volunteering. I know, Brittany, you had mentioned you were part of a huge event.
Yes.
The Handbags for Hospice, which, by the way, was incredible.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about your experience with how you coordinated how many volunteers?
It was over 100 volunteers for Handbags. Wow. And we have various events that actually run throughout the year to get funds for Secura House to continue to operate. So with all of those events, we have Hike for Hospice coming up in September. All of these events wouldn't be possible if it weren't for volunteers. And they're the lifeblood of what we do a lot of the time to be able to make sure that these events continue and are successful. So,
of course.
Yeah.
And for people that have never, have been touched by Secura House, if you've never lost someone, if you've never had somebody there, or if you haven't had an elderly family member ever need those services, you may not think about it.
Yeah.
But once you're in that space and you are in need, your gratitude is just so much more to know that there are people like Colleen that are out there donating their time.
Mm-hmm. And I think to say, we have some of the most wonderful volunteers and they're so welcoming, much like Colleen here. And, they do give their time day in and day out to ensure that we can continue to offer these things to our community. And Grateful doesn't even begin to cover it.
It's true. Without the volunteers, we wouldn't have the programs. Right. So most of our programs are operated and run by the volunteers. Yeah.
Okay. So what type of opportunities are available? So if anybody's watching wants to think about giving back or volunteering, what type of opportunities are available?
Well, thanks for asking that question, Shannon. I mean, there's a variety of volunteer opportunities with the VON and VON Secura. We have a transportation. We drive folks to medical appointments. So that's mostly operated by volunteers. We have our Meals on Wheels program, so delivering hot, nutritious food every day is all volunteer-based. The kitchen that puts them together is volunteers. We have receptionists. We have our adult day program, so people can drop off their seniors, and we have adult day program that's run by volunteers or supported by volunteers. We have our blood pressure clinics across Oxford that are drop-in, so that's run by volunteers as well. We have visiting. Now, volunteer visiting is a huge one. Number one thing with seniors is loneliness and being socially isolated. So our volunteer visitors are matched up with somebody and they actually go to the home, maybe have a coffee or play a game, just enjoy each other's company and really support that person so they don't feel alone. Right. So we also have our grief support too. So we need volunteers to actually run our support groups for teenagers, for Kids Circle, for one-on-one support, for grief counseling. So we're always looking for volunteers in that way. And with Secura, we have our greeters, which Colleen can speak to, PSAs, folks in the kitchen, and also the events, always looking for volunteers.
Yeah. Okay.
So my job as the volunteer coordinator is to, put the right people in the right spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Colleen, you are a volunteer with VON. How long have you been volunteering for?
I've been at I'm at Secura. I've been there since January 2020.
Wow, so over 4 years. Okay.
Yes. So
Can you tell us about your experience?
Yes. So what happened was I didn't know much about VON, and so in 2013 I was volunteering at the hospital, Woodstock Hospital. So and this lady came up to me, and I was in the mammogram area because I went through breast cancer, and so then she said, you should look at volunteering at Sakura, and I went, oh. Is that something that, because I figured you had to be in the medical field in order to do that, but because I was not. And she said no. So then it took me a little while to kind of get the nerve to go in. And so then I met the coordinator there, Jennifer, and she was excellent, very, very welcoming. And so then next thing you know, the first event I helped with, hadn't even been really working for them yet, was the Handbags for Hospice in 2020. And then that was the last we had till we had this last one here in 24. So so I got to be greeter, which I absolutely love. It is just super. It's the people you meet and you just talk to them. Some are, just want to have a little bit of a shoulder sometime. They'll come in and I'll just listen to them.
And a familiar face. If they're seeing you on a regular basis when they're visiting their loved one, they build that rapport, they build that connection. And it's nice to see that familiar face when you're going through something so tragic.
Yes, it is.
So for any of our viewers that are watching that maybe like yourself are thinking, I should become a volunteer, but what sort of advice would you have for them?
I would just say that you just inquire, and call us, and we'll give you a name as to who you contact. And then you just meet with our coordinator. And I help with Meals on Wheels as well. And that was only because they reached out and tried to find someone, or anyone that could help them besides. But really you just have to, it's so gratifying, so you just take the plunge and just go in. And ask.
And in terms of commitment, is there a minimum requirement if you want to volunteer?
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people think, we go with the volunteer schedule. If you can do 1 hour a week, then we'll do that. If you can do an hour a month, then that can work out as well. So every moment that they can do it, again, with that tagline, every moment matters. There's not a minimum or there's not a maximum. Some of our volunteers volunteer 10 hours a week.
Okay.
Some of them want, like I say, like a half an hour,
Right.
But it all adds up, to make a difference in someone's life. And
Every moment matters.
Every moment matters.
Every moment
That's
matters.
right.
Okay.
And VON.ca is probably the best bet to go to because there's a drop-down menu for Oxford, and then you can see all the opportunities at Sakura, at the VON Oxford, and for our careers as well.
Okay.
And just events that's happening is on that page.
Okay. And there is a big event coming up. Hike for Hospice.
Hospice is happening Saturday, September 21st of this year, and we are always looking for volunteers to help with that. And that can be as much as you can help with the organizing committee, or you can just volunteer day of. And we're grateful for any amount of time that people can help us to make these events wonderfully successful.
Okay. So, and looking for volunteers for Handbags for Hospice next year as well?
We're still planning through that. So.
Okay. Well, you did an absolutely outstanding job, and thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. And I know all of our viewers that we're very, very lucky to have the VON and very lucky to have volunteers just like you to put these big events on. So
Sure.
I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I appreciate you being on the show. And I understand we'll see you in a couple of weeks to talk about the Smile Cookie
Smile cookies are coming. Yeah.
Thanks for being here today, ladies.
Thanks, Shannon.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.